Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to PanGeekery Podcast, a live weekly video podcast celebrating all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. And we are going to talk about film, TV, video games, and all the cool stuff, covering all the nooks and crannies, damn it, of fandom. Cranities. I don't know why. I'm gonna trademark
Cranities.
Cranities.
Make that happen.
We're gonna cranities, nosediving upward, buttload, dragon blast,
Star Wars,
Dragon glass dildo.
Yeah.
inside jokes from all our previous episodes, so you have to watch them.
Exactly. You're gonna have to watch all that. My name is Earl. I'm an actor, improviser, and the first concert I ever saw was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of their shells.
Oh,
What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are happy.
All right. Hi, I'm Jennifer Zhang, and I'm an actor, model, dancer. Wow, I said different things from before.
A dancer, a model. Well, this is news.
And
Artist,
gamer, poet. All right, I'll stop. But the first concert I ever went to was at UC Riverside, where RX Bandits was, and there was a mosh pit there.
Did you mosh?
We tried.
Hi, guys. My name is Caitlin Faye. I am get ready for it, a director, an actor, a singer, a writer, a pianist, a flautist, a violinist, an amateur photographer, a wannabe drawer.
All right, your time is on.
Okay. My first concert, my best friend in high school took me to see the Grammys when I was 16 at the Staples Center.
Wow, sorry.
I might have made eye contact with Pharrell.
Whoa.
Wow.
I do that every night.
Don't we all?
On your ceiling.
Don't we all?
Hey guys, I'm Walter. I am a veteran filmmaker, and my first concert was, I can't.
That's cool.
I want to say Linkin Park.
Whoa.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
Yeah.
For which album?
I've become so numb.
Yeah, it was a Smoking Grooves tour,
okay.
concert, and it was Linkin Park.
Everybody's is far cooler than mine. It's okay.
It's all good.
Oh.
Yeah. It might be Muppets. I don't know.
I'm going to say it's Muppets. Before we go on, I'd like to give a shout out to our location sponsors, PWC, Filipino Worker Center. Thank you again for having us. And to Hi-Fi Kitchen for their delicious laing.
Amazing.
And
all that. Hit that up. Hi-Fi-Kitchen.com. Is that correct? Yes. Hi-Fi-Kitchen.com. I'm messing that up.
And hi-fi is spelled H-I-F-I.
Yep. H-I-F-I. Thank you, Jen. So everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. We will be checking chat over the course of the episode. So do please hit us up, ask us questions, leave comments, and we will try to get them by the end of
What the hell's a quement?
Y'all never.
Is that a subtropical fruit?
Yes, it's
delicious.
It's related
totally
to
try it.
loquat and
And quement.
yeah. But yeah, hit us up and we'll try to get to you as soon as we can. So what have y'all been up to these past weeks? We've been gone for a week, 2 weeks actually. So what has everybody been up to?
Jen and I went to Houston for Happy Fest 2019.
Nice.
And experiences were had.
Whoa.
Memories were made.
Okay, thank you. I was like, be decisive, Caitlin, about what you revealed to the public.
No, trust
But
me.
y'all were there to for a screening of
Following Jamie, the short film that we made last year. Yeah.
awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just scratch the whole topic. I want to hear what happened.
I know.
Well,
You weren't there at the reading, so. Jen's reading.
Yeah, someone here is not a good friend because the night we came back from Houston, Jen had a reading at the Japanese American Museum for a new play by Leah Nanaka Winkler, and somebody was absentio.
I know, Arnold. I can't believe. Yeah, and I heard good things about it.
Thank you guys for coming. All the people who mattered came. So.
Oh God! Stab it!
Sorry I couldn't make it.
In the chest.
Yeah, just work kept me from going there, and I will say that it was. I kind of wish I did go because I was getting stressed out from work. And martial arts like saves my life, like and saves other people's lives for me. So I had to go and choke people out and,
Oh
and fight.
no!
You'd rather
was that
choke
kind
a
of work day?
helpless person than support.
Oh, they're not
Jen's.
helpless. They're trying to choke me out.
It's a mutual
They're
choking.
trying to break my arm also. So
What if you like choking? Oh, never
Hey.
mind. We're getting the yellow card.
that's a whole different topic.
So what you been up to, Walter?
Well, I went to go check out the Raw Mix Ramel's screening at local brewery, Brouillard Brewery, and saw Arnold and some bunch of like Phil and creative folks there. Little reunion.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I think the weekend, just been working a lot, and then I think we saw each other, which we'll cover later.
Yes. Stay tuned.
No.
Earl, what did you do?
What did I do? So this past couple weeks have been the Fringe Festival, the Hollywood Fringe Festival,
Yeah,
which is
I
basically
forgot.
like a whole bunch of theater shows being put on in several venues around Hollywood. There are 400 different shows that have been going on over the past 2 weeks, and I was in one. And I always talk about this. Supportive White Parents. We did a run at the Fringe, and it was freaking excellent. We
Raise your hand if you saw Supportive White Parents.
yay!
All of us
Thank you.
we're
We're
supportive.
I know
supportive.
everybody has seen it. Thank you
Asian
so much
hosts.
for coming out. I know, but I mean, we were nominated for Best Musical. We did not win, unfortunately, but we were
Got
also
robbed.
No, not. But we were also granted. We won Best of the Broadwater, which is the theater that we were at.
Yay!
Awesome.
What's the other one? We got an encore award, which means we're going to continue the run for another 2 shows.
That's amazing.
Keeps going.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Did
Yeah.
you win best non-supportive dad? Spoiler alert.
I know.
Wow.
I know. No, I didn't.
No.
But we should make that an award. I'm
That
telling
you would be
racist.
the only person in that category winning that award.
We'll make T-shirts. Best
Yeah.
non-supportive dad.
Yeah.
How many fights will that start?
Oh no.
Anyway,
No, I am. No, I am.
Who can hit the softest?
Oh my
I'll tell you about this game later on.
And then Earl's like,
please
I
do.
lose.
That's exactly what it is. But so we got a lot to talk about
We
this
do.
show.
We do.
We're going to talk about Toy Story 4, which
Yeah.
everybody here besides me got to see. So I'm going to be stepping out of the room for that one. We're going to talk about representation in arts and media and the Geekverse, because somebody had posed a question to us on one of our social networks, or no, Jen's friend actually hit her up, and the question is going to be whether or not representation still matters as much as it did back in the day.
Well, there's going to be specifics to that question, so
Right.
we'll see.
She's gonna handle that, and then we're gonna go through some news around the geek universe, and finally, it's gonna be trivia time at the end. I got some questions for y'all. So, oh my gosh, and we're already here. So, Toy Story 4, the 4th installment in the storied Toy Story franchise. It's a lot
Wow.
of stories.
Should we hide you, Earl?
GTFO.
So, I am going to step out of the room. Y'all take
There
care.
you go.
I'm gonna put
Yeah,
that
play some
something.
music
Oh,
while
there
we
he goes.
talk.
So he's not
He's going
really
into the
stepping
side.
out of the room.
Well, I can't. I'm going to use the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, amazing.
Let's have a camera follow him.
Do you have a GoPro?
Camera
All right, I'll
3,
see y'all
let's
in
go.
about 15 minutes.
All right. Bye,
it.
Earl.
Later.
Bye, Earl. Have a good poop
Adios.
or whatever else it is you do there. Hey guys. So for the first time in PanGeekery's history, someone besides Earl is now driving this mofo show.
Whoa.
So
And it's
Toy
a
Story-
woman.
and it's a
We're so
it's a woman.
We're so progressive.
I know, right? So Toy Story 4 on Sunday, the three of us and our stage manager Arnold went to the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank because Jen here is a Cal Arts alumnus. She went there for grad school, and it just so happens that Cal Arts was started by none other than Walt Disney himself. So as an alumnus, she got free tickets, hooked it up. It was a great day. Now, before we get into our thesis topics, why don't we go around and talk a little bit about what your expectations going into this film were, just really briefly.
I had no expectations. I mean, I saw some of those online rumors and some people like talking about what the fork represented, all this stuff.
spork?
Yeah.
Or Forky,
But
right?
he was calling himself Forky.
Oh,
But yeah.
true, yeah.
So like what he represented, blah blah blah. But I had no expectations because I was like, I thought Toy Story 3 was the last of
Yeah.
it, and then hey, there's 4. So I was like, what could they possibly talk about? So
Jen?
So I had very low expectations. When I watched the trailer, I saw Sporky and I was like, what in the ever bleeping living bleep is this thing? What could you possibly say, like in one of the greatest Pixar franchises of all time, about a spork, about a lunch
Don't
throwaway
be
item?
sporkist, Jen.
Well,
Just because it's a spork,
I think
you
it
gotta
was
be
chosen.
discriminatory.
I think it was chosen for a very specific reason. And like, I was surprised on every level and impressed on every level that they actually utilized it in a very self-aware, humorous, and effective way. This spork, oh my God. Who'd have thought?
Right.
Who'd have thunk?
Who'da thunk, indeed. And that leads us to our first question, which is, do you think that Toy Story 4 lives up to the legacy that the Toy Story franchise has created for itself over the years?
I'll answer that in lieu of what I was saying about Sporky.
Okay.
Forky.
Well, and just to give us all a note here, Toy Story began in, I want to say 1996. So that was a good 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us grew up watching it.
Right.
Yeah, so I feel like it does live up because and it's also aged, like this rendition of Toy Story feels as though it's commenting on the themes behind Toy Story.
More self-aware.
Yeah. More so than like telling a story in and of itself, which it is, but it's actually telling something larger, which is like, why are toys important to us in like the culture of storytelling? Like what roles do toys function as, like how do we imbue them with characters that we suddenly relate to, that are inanimate objects, like I think like it really gets to the heart of why we even loved the Toy Story franchise in the first place. And like one scene that in particular that dwindles down all these things I feel like it represents is when Woody is trying to explain to Forky why Forky needs to be a toy for Bonnie.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes.
And that was a lovely scene. They didn't have to put that in there, but they put that in there for like the thematic purpose of showing like
Snape kills Dumbledore.
wow, Earl just came
back
to take
into
his
the
phone.
room to tell us that.
Wow, that
Go
was
away.
a brilliant finishing of my sentence, Earl.
How did he know?
we
did
can
he
still
know?
hear you too.
Go away.
And then they all die in the end. Okay, sorry.
And
stole your
I
thunder.
don't remember what I was going to say.
Thanks, Earl.
But I love that Woody gets actually.
Oh no, you were talking about the scene between Forky and
Woody
and Woody. You
explained-
said it didn't have to be in there, but
It really didn't have to be in there,
Yeah.
but like Woody is like the heart of Toy Story, of the entire Toy Story franchise. And he gets like a really meta moment where he has to explain to Forky, like, look, I know you weren't made to be a toy. And I know like your natural inclination is to not be one, but like for the sake of my kid, you have to be one. You have to recognize your importance in this moment, which is very heroic of him.
Yeah.
Woody is like a quintessential like hero in the in the Homerian sense. Homeric sense. I don't even know. I was like, what is the adjective for Homer? Homerian.
Yeah, and I think
I know
Yeah,
the Simpsons. Yeah,
Simpsons.
Homerian, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I think, although I think it was necessary because it leads into Forky like
I think it was
declaring
necessary,
It was
yeah.
necessary because
Yeah.
it would led to Forky saying like, "Hey, this is more about you, not about me."
But it also helps Forky reclaim or like understand who he is.
Yeah.
You know?
And to be fair, and spoiler alert, I guess I don't know, but
Mini spoiler.
mini spoiler,
Yeah.
like. And the communication of Sporky is like just making him an analogy, creating an analogy that he could understand how his value to his
Bonnie.
child, to Bonnie.
Because of the trash thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is the trash thing, right? Because Sporky is a spork created to be disposable. He, as soon as he becomes alive, because Bonnie imbues him.
why. I was like, why does he?
They explained that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's backtrack and talk about this so our audience understands what was being said just now.
Yeah. So you know what? Okay. When Forky is first introduced, I think this is where I kind of zoned out because I was really sleepy. I hadn't really slept much the night before. A kid like throws some like utensils in the trash.
No,
and then
he didn't throw. The kid stole Bonnie's art supplies. And
and then threw them in the trash, right?
No, he was just picking stuff off of it.
Okay.
And
Woody was hiding in the trash can, and he throws the stuff from the trash
He was
can.
whatever was there already because he lost the supplies.
The spork was already in the trash can. Gotcha.
But I mean, I don't think that has to do with why Forky loves the trash, though.
Well,
because Forky explains, like, I was made for chili, sometimes soup, and then I was meant to be thrown
That's
away.
what I
no,
mean.
not
Yeah,
just that,
because-
but he did say because he was born from trash. That's where he came from.
I
that's
think what
where we
Jen's
go.
saying is like
But-
the manufacturer's purpose for
To be
Forky is to
disposable.
be disposed.
Yeah.
And if you want to get real meta, you could argue that all these somewhat like
Toys.
so-called inanimate objects, they are just trying to live out the maker's purpose,
Right.
which is why the toys are there for the children.
Right.
Yeah, no, I get you,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with Sporky too when he said like
Forky.
or-
I want to
no,
say
sorry,
Forky also.
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Forky.
It's hard to, yeah.
I agree with Forky when he told Woody, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're trash too." Like because I went to school doing one of my majors or I have a minor in design, and then like the first day is design school. They're like, "Hey, congratulations, you're here to make trash." That's what my professor told me. Because if you think about it, everything becomes disposable. Like
Right.
your computer, your high value, your toys. If you don't put any value into it,
Become trash.
the material things we have only has value because we choose to put value into it.
Snap.
I
That's
think that's
real
really,
meta.
really great. I think that's really great. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and it also is like a point of reckoning for Woody.
Right,
When Forky says that, it's like, oh, I actually resonate with that because I feel expired and useless now that I am Bonnie's and not
Yes,
Andy's.
He's also trash.
Bonnie doesn't like Woody as much as like
Jessie.
Jessie
others.
or her other toys, you know?
right.
She's not Andy.
Right.
So he doesn't feel like he's living out the extent of his purpose, which is why, spoilers, you know, he doesn't end up like being a toy that belongs to any child anymore. He decides to
Right.
become a quote unquote lost toy because he does recognize that he's lived out his life as that. And yet through Bo Peep, he like takes on this new persona or like new values in life. Like I have meaning.
Yeah.
Even if
It's
I don't
so
have
deep.
I
That's
have a child to care for.
Right. And that leads me to my next question, which is to what extent do you think toys are integral to the psychological development of children or human beings? Because in this world that Pixar has created for us, the toys see their function as like extremely integral to a child's development. And that's kind of why I was crying throughout the film, because it was in that moment where I realized the toys are a metaphor for parents. At least that's how I saw it. Someone else might see it a different way. I feel like the toys are ever self-sacrificing because they always want what's best and what will make the kid happy. And eventually the kid outgrows the toy/parent and moves on.
I feel like some roles that toys take on could be associated with parenting.
Yeah.
But I think like they're also like somewhat different in
Maybe
other
not
ways.
in real life, but in this narrative, like it's
Yeah.
the stand-in for. Like I was trying to think of an equivalent.
Not clear, like not 100% for me
Yeah.
though. I think because like the toys also feel like their only purpose in their existence is to
Serve the child.
serve the child, and then when that's over, they have like
right.
nothing left.
But I
you know?
guess for me, it's like, then why does it make us feel this way? Like in our evolutionary roots or something like that, there must be some life equivalent.
No,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think it makes you feel this way because for most people who played with toys, we want to believe that those toys, that's the purpose of our toys when we
They
played
make
with
us
it.
happy.
that they reciprocated our love for
yeah,
them.
our love for them,
Gotcha.
that the fact that we played with them,
Gotcha.
that it's back in, or it's equal, you know, like
Do
they
you-
feel the same way. Like
What do you guys
Yeah.
think about toys then? Like,
Oh,
do you think they made you who you are today?
Absolutely. I mean, I was an only child, but hold on. Before I talk about my toys, I think like the movie poses like a couple of very important scenarios that show what exactly are the toys' functions in children's lives. And they're always at like points of crises. Like the girl towards the end, the lost girl.
Yes.
who is crying and then finds Gabby, and finally they like find each other. So a toy is a source of comfort.
Yeah, it gives her the strength to reach out to the adult.
Yeah. And like, what is it? Another example is, of course, Bonnie goes to kindergarten. That's the whole crux of the start of the series, the start of the conflict. She needs Forky only because he's the only little thing that she made for herself to comfort herself during a day when she was nervous about everything. You know, and that's why she's like imbued this spork with such significance. Is because it's the only thing that brought her comfort on a very nerve-wracking day.
Right.
You know?
Right. So you would have to agree, yes?
Yeah.
Did you have toys growing up?
No, I had no.
Really?
I only.
I mean, remember, he was born during the
had
Great
a
Depression.
Can. I only had a can
God!
and a stick.
Walter!
My parents used to say, like, you know, we didn't have toys growing up. We had little rubber bands that we would flick in the dirt.
I got a
And bottle
wheel,
caps,
I was so happy, and we would just push the wheel down the road with a stick. So sorry, no, like I did have toys, but I feel like it depends on what those toys are attached to. Like when I say attached to, as in like what other properties. Like you had the Ninja Turtle action figures, and like you watched. That meant you watched the Ninja Turtle show. Transformers, you watched the Transformers cartoon.
Yeah.
He-Man, G.I. Joe. You know, for guys, I mean, you know, I guess there's Rainbow Bright for women and Strawberry Shortcake, like
or
my
Barbie.
sister, or Barbie.
Barbie.
Barbie didn't really have a cartoon growing up.
No.
But my sister,
not
I
yet,
know they had Strawberry Shortcake or
Cabbage
Pokemon.
Patch? Oh, wait. Oh, Pokemon.
Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Well, did Sailor Moon have action figures?
Yeah. But,
But they
it was
weren't,
more
like,
an
widely
offshoot of the
sold.
show.
Yeah. Okay. But like, so for me, like, for example, like I was big into like G.I. Joes. Like I love G.I. Joes.
And that's why you joined Ye Army.
Yeah, I mean, there might be something into that. We can go. That's something.
So it is.
I'll have to
really
talk with my
meta and
therapist.
Freudian.
God.
That was your Woody.
But I mean, yeah.
that was your Woody. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, but I think people do have time. They take kids use toys to comfort them or play, like keep them company. Like what kids
Especially
have.
if you're an only child.
If
right?
you're an only child, or and I mean, I had a sister. I didn't really play. She was older than me, so I couldn't really play with her or play. I didn't like to play with what they did, so I was like, oh, I have my G.I. Joes and all my other action figures, right?
Right.
So, but for kids, I know I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, it's like you get to tell your story. Like when you have your action figures, it's almost like your own filmmaker. You're a director right there. Cause
Okay, I'm going to interject now because I have a lot to say about my toys.
Oh no, so
I'm
continue.
sorry. I was waiting a long time because I didn't want to talk over you. But I was an only child, and I had also like mild OCD as a child, and I was severely like very, very isolated, but also very imaginative. I had like 10 different kinds of stuffed animals that were not like from any canon, but I imbued them each with a name, personality, song, accent, and persona.
That's awesome.
And theme that they would match.
That makes so much sense.
And I would have to arrange them in certain like angles so that they would shine on me at night so that I would receive those qualities.
Whoa! My brain is fucking blown.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so
Comment below if you guys have done that too.
What the heck?
So
Shine on me.
I even remember like some of the theme songs of each. And like some of them like represented like love for my parents, love for myself. And there was also peace, and there was also like friendship, like health and friendships and things like that. It was like my own like little astrology thing.
How old were you?
I mean, I don't know. It was like
15.
all throughout my childhood. I had this really intense. I had this really intense love of objects. Like when my parents moved their dining room table away, I like broke down and I was like sobbing for like 2 whole days. And they were like, "What's wrong with you?" But like what I couldn't articulate was that the part of myself that I had always associated with that table, or as I remembered myself, was going to be completely gone. I was never going to be myself as I knew it with that table in that room.
Wow.
But I just couldn't say it anymore. I just felt like some part of me was lost.
It's very Shintoism of you.
That is some Marie Kondo shit.
Wow.
And that's why Marie Kondo says, get rid of your shit.
Whoa. I mean,
Just say thank you and move on.
But so yeah, like so Toy Story really, really resonates with me because it's like I really believed my animals were alive and that how well I treated them were, you know, gonna dictate how well they treated me.
Yeah.
Or like brought those qualities to my life.
that is amazing.
I mean, I wish we had more time to talk about like, and because now
we still have one more question.
yeah, well, because now kids have like iPads.
Oh yeah.
They don't really play with toys. I don't think. I don't know.
I think they do.
They still have toys.
I mean, Toys R
but-
Us went bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they don't play with toys.
They just like to watch that kid play on it on YouTube.
Oh God, let's not get into that. Anyways, thank you, Toy Story, for letting us relive our physical toy childhoods. Last question for this topic would be: do you think Toy Story 4 includes an appropriate amount of diverse representation? What say you?
As far as racial representation goes, you can't really tell. I mean, I think
feel
it
like
still is a mostly white cast. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
think they tried
the
to
two black actors were like
Oh, Jordan Peele.
Jordan,
yeah.
Key and
that
Peele
was so funny.
was the
that
only.
They were so good.
I think they're the only people of color who are voice actors.
It was Jordan Peele, and who's the other one?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there she is. Yeah.
Oh, who is she?
Ally Mack.
Ally
Is
Mack.
she from Guardians?
No.
No,
Where is
she's
she
not
from?
Clem.
Where is she from?
I don't know.
Oh, so she's from nowhere. She looks like she's from something. She looks
No,
familiar.
yeah, she's from.
Oh,
Teen
okay.
Wolf?
She's from Teen. She's from something, y'all.
We're just
lot of
making up her
werewolves.
credits.
well,
now.
anyway, so there's an Asian chick.
We're so embarrassing.
Sorry.
But the rest, I think, of the cast they kept from the original cast,
Right,
which is
right. Tom
understandably
Hanks, Tim
predominantly
Allen.
white.
Mhm.
And Bonnie, I think, is a mixed race child, right? I was looking for some black and Asian kids, but I didn't see any. I think they were going for more of the
kids?
racially ambiguous
Oh.
roots, like of the human
Yeah.
beings,
Like
right?
Bonnie is mixed, and the lost
Yeah.
girl at the end is also
She's
like
something,
mixed.
yeah.
She's yeah. I seriously think that Bonnie's dad.
Is like-
he looked Indian.
yeah, some people thought he looked Indian. He just
looked
looked
Indian to me.
He just looked like mystery meat to me.
So I thought.
Oh my god, is that what we are to you, Caitlin?
Mystery meat.
What I did love, wow, cannot speak. What I did love was that Bo has like a huge, like pivotal role in this film.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, like she's kind of a badass. I mean, she spent like years on her own, and so she's kind of like washed her hands of like being anybody's toy.
Yes.
She's like, at this point, like I'm living my own life. I run this gamut. She's like a mafia queen.
Yeah, she teaches Woody who he needs to become.
Right. And she teaches him to let go. You
Right.
know?
Yeah,
Right,
I don't know
yeah.
about her being a mafia queen. I
I'm
see
just
her more
kidding,
like a Miss Marvel archetype.
Well,
like,
I don't remember what she was like in the first movie, but didn't she have more of that?
exactly.
She did exactly. They wanted to give her more of a personality.
She was
more
just
of that.
she was just a like little Bo Peep,
Yes.
literally the old fashioned like I'm a shepherd.
Old school. I'm a shepherdess.
Yeah.
And now they've given her character.
Now she can take off her skirt and she has pants underneath.
That's sexy. Yeah. So all in all, my thoughts on Toy Story 4, I thought going in that it was going to be a piece of shite. I thought, these guys just want money. How can they possibly continue this story after that amazing full circle ending at the end of Toy Story 3? And, Earl's back. And then they all died. And it was
Wait, wait, wait.
awful. Oh,
We'll tell you.
I was just talking about how
finishing
everyone
our thought.
dies in Toy Story. And Woody dies, yeah. And
Dead Woody. So does he burn?
We're finishing our final thoughts. I don't know if you want to hear this.
Oh, are you for reals?
Yes.
Oh, I got called in. That's-
sorry. And I was just gonna say,
Hold on.
okay.
Put him in the bride.
He's listening to his music.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that I thought this might have been the best one yet.
Whoa, really?
I think so.
quite acclaimed.
Because it was so meta. Like every scene contributed to these toys trying to understand the core of who they really are in an almost existential way. Even down to Buzz Lightyear, like listening to the voices. He's like, so do we have a conscience? Who are we?
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, yo, that's freaking deep.
And the fact that Woody loses his voice box
Yeah.
to Gabby. He gives
Exactly.
it away.
I was like, oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Like, let's.
Well, we've been spoiling it this whole time.
Yeah, but
so,
not just
yeah.
that, but also they still bring the narrative full circle without making it clunky. That's really good storytelling. I didn't think they'd be able to do that, but they did.
So
I'm glad Pixar lived up to your expectations,
I'm
Caitlin.
glad it did too.
And I'm just kind of curious.
Thanks,
in a way,
Pixar.
it's kind of like saying goodbye to that franchise or to that group of friends. You think,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do you think they'll continue it with something else, or?
You mean another Toy Story
some
movie?
version of Toy Story
I hope
without
not.
without Buzz Lightyear or
No,
something like that.
No.
Woody.
Or
Woody
you think
signed off
this is
after
it,
this one.
Oh no,
This
I
is
know,
the
but I'm saying
end.
like another group of toys.
If they want money,
No Buzz Lightyear, no
they
Woody.
probably
Just
will.
some
I don't know.
Yeah,
about
they
that.
might. They might. But it'll be like an offshoot.
little Bo Peep prequel.
Yeah. Like, what was she doing for 7 years? Yeah, that was that's the end of that, guys. Earl, you can come back now.
Oh, hey, look at that guy.
All right. So
That's right, Keanu Reeves.
We
I'm
forgot.
back.
There's a part Asian person in that cast.
That's right.
I know it's.
What was the name of his character?
Duke Kaboom.
Duke.
The best writer from
He was
Canada.
great.
I will
Yes.
say his voice acting on that was good.
Yeah, it was great.
Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. So
So-
On to our
you're
next
driving this bus now.
Okay,
I
we're
hand
back.
it off
Give
So
him
we're
the hat.
back. How'd the conversation go?
It was
Terrible.
very Earless.
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 Yeah.
Uh,
Earless. Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
oh man.
Well, hopefully, I have no opinions about Toy Story 4 because I haven't seen it yet, but maybe I will next week and I'll debrief everybody. Nobody's going to care by that. But,
All right. So next up, we are going to talk about a question that my friend posed to me,
Yes.
which was very interesting that I felt was worth talking about, especially in our podcast in particular, since we do tout ourselves as talking about all things geek from an all diverse perspective, right? All of us on this panel are Asian American Pacific Islander. And generally, we talk about our geekdom, from the lens that we know how. So my friend's question to me was, do you feel that movies and television today are still an effective medium to show equality across different races, cultures, gender, etc.? Or has it sort of become less of an effective tool now than it has been in earlier years?
I have to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think we're there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just barely scratching the surface
Right.
of where we need to be until, Hollywood and film and television accurately reflect the non-white to white ratio of persons within the American population. We're not there yet, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that even though there's right now, there's kind of this swelling of diversity, of inclusion, of representation. It's like, if you really want to think about it, what it's only been 3 or 4 years since the wave has kind of started.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
what
Maybe
kind of
5
change? Right. Yeah. 5 tops. What kind of change? Actual, real, non trendy change can take place within 5 years, especially with a machine like Hollywood that has existed for 100 years now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's I don't think it's possible. And I think that the thing about when we create media, a lot of it is aspirational. It's where we want to be. It's like we tell the stories of the ideal, and unfortunately, that is not reflected in how they cast it yet. So until those two meet, I think that it's definitely it's going to be an issue, and it's something that is whenever you see somebody a person of color or of a different ability or gender or anything that's represented accurately and with respect on a piece of medium, it's going to matter.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think the work can be finished at all.
Right.
I think it would be a flaw in our thinking to assume that we just need to attain a certain quota of diversity in order to pass ourselves off as forever morally flawless and untouchable.
You're right, because even if we
You know?
fulfill that diversity quota, what kind of people are we showing on television? Are they kind of just tropey and stereotypical, or are they pushing boundaries? Are they reflecting actual characteristics of real life human people rather than ching chong ching? I speak English. Do math
Right.
for you.
Mickey Rooney.
So
I know, Mr. Kuniyoshi.
was your friend asking because they're thinking that it's
It's not as important, or I kind of wonder what the
what was the
impetus
motivation
behind it is.
behind
There
that?
was not more elaborated after that. And I think their question kind of veered on, do you think television and movies are like the most effective way to do that, or do you think
Or
like
because
that's
he's
kind
thinking
of,
like the
okay.
internet, because there's the internet, that we should focus on online media, whatever like that.
I mean, it's however we want to interpret it. You know?
In my opinion, I think for some people, they might think like because I see Crazy Rich Asian, or there's a sprinkle of this person. For some people, that's not a person of color. Might think like, oh yeah, that's enough. That's diverse because
That's enough. That's
Yeah. No, I know what you mean though. Yeah.
there's
it's
people
true,
out
it's
there
true.
that thinks that. Like, oh, see, we're giving them chances. Like, oh, see, they're supporting character.
right.
They're on the poster.
I want to punch this person.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. Like, that speaks more about their own insecurities.
I feel like an similar allegory that I could make with what you just said is like the assumption that America made of we had a black president, therefore we are a
We're good.
post-racial
We're good.
society.
We're a
Right.
post-racial society,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, when that is like
Colonialism
far from
doesn't
the case.
exist. Right.
Yeah. We are simply opening up the possibility of like, actually, there is more than one race of American in this country.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I think the complexity of that, and my answer is like, yeah, I don't think one, we're there yet, and two, I think there's nothing wrong with having it on diversity in the computer, on the online content,
Right.
on
Like
film
media.
and television,
Right.
like, and I personally think that like white kids, there's a good amount of white kids in the Midwest who's just as interested in the stories of people of color as there are in the coastal cities of America. And I just think it's just these certain groups or like gatekeepers that underestimate these, the white kids of middle America and suburb America, like assume that
that they don't
they
want to see
project
that.
Yeah.
their insecurity or lack of interest to the younger generations of Americans and assume.
Agreed. I've done a lot of research on this over the years, and a lot of big Hollywood execs believe that putting non-traditional casting, i.e. a non-white person on the poster of a huge blockbuster film or making them the lead is a huge financial risk, because the belief is that white audiences cannot relate to non-white characters.
Yeah.
So how are they supposed to make a full return on this multi-million-dollar film if their main audience can't relate to them, even though the number one growing movie audience, if not the number one movie going audience right now, I believe is Hispanics in America. And it has shown again and again and again that on international releases, multi-ethnic casts do extremely well and are extremely lucrative across the seas.
Yep.
So if we need to start looking at the numbers, and I understand why Hollywood execs, they tend to vote, they tend to make decisions conservatively when it comes to like,
And
fiscal impact.
I think they're conservative because they stand to lose money, but at the same time, I think they
But, like, come on.
some of them, not all,
Yeah.
use it to mask their bigotry.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'll say
he said it.
it.
Truth bombs.
And I think,
Truth bombs.
Truth bombs.
yeah.
Truth bombs.
And let's just be honest, like, because it's already proven that there's like movies that are proven to be like makes money, yet there's a studio exec out there that's then the next film they're like, oh no, it's not gonna work. Like, yo, this just
Look at the
proves it.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you gonna say no?
I mean, this is something that's only happened within the past like 3 to 5 years or so, as
Right.
Earl brought up, Like we have never seen a large major studio take on like a story from people of color and put it on such a wide scale that like mass amounts of people consume it and actually enjoy it,
Absolutely.
It was never given the chance before, and so it was never seen in the public eye. But now we have, Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians are the big examples that come to mind, as well as like all of the Disney live actions are starting to really,
Embrace
push that forward. I mean, especially with Star Wars.
And to me, it's like, I have a pretty good group of diverse friends, that's growing up from the military, and just in the filmmaker community, whatever. And to me, it's like, man, and I tell them like when we talk about diversity too, I'm like, dude, if I was a white kid growing up, like I would be so insulted that the studios would think that I wouldn't be interested in the story of a black person or an Asian person or a Hispanic person growing up in LA and Chicago, whatever. Like, or I couldn't. It would blow my mind that there's a black person doing this or a black James Bond, whatever.
Black people do normal things.
How dare they?
I had an acting coach back in the day who said, Caitlin, if any casting director decides they want to cast you for a job, they're going to have to discuss amongst themselves, do we want to go with non-traditional casting? Like, he's like, that's what they're going to think about.
Yeah.
Because I am considered non-traditional casting. It doesn't matter for what.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Prior to like when I had my agent, I would have to self-submit a lot, and every time, on casting sites, when they say like, any ethnicity, right?
It's
any
that-
ethnicity. They never
They never mean that.
They never.
They
mean
always
never
mean
mean
white.
that.
They always say Caucasian or any ethnicity.
Or any ethnicity,
or open
right.
ethnicity. And I always submit to those, but I never get called back
Yeah.
for any of
Remember
them.
that
I never
big-
even get an audition.
that big hullabaloo with the Hamilton casting. Some like human rights lawyer or whatever in New York a few years ago was suing Hamilton, like the musical,
Right.
because the cast listing was saying that each character needed to be non-white, and they were saying that's
Right.
discriminatory. But in reality, because it's a performance, they are allowed to make
Right.
descriptions like
I mean,
that.
it's gone the other way.
And
so
on
many
top of
other
that, it's
times.
the other way. It's like it's always like that.
everything.
Even if
Majority
not
of the time it's that
if
way.
not
Yeah.
explicitly said, it's implicit. And I did want to address, as someone who's been on the other side, the casting director's side,
Right.
I will say things like, "Oh, any ethnicity, looking for any ethnicity." And it's 99.9% white people applying. It's all like 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. It's all white people. But even when I say must be dark-skinned, must be Pacific Islander, black, biracial, Asian, I still get blonde, blue-eyed chicks submitting to these roles. I'm like, we can't win.
Yeah. And, one of my friends is a casting director of a major theater company, and he tells me that when they cast for shows, because the theater primarily casts a lot of people of color for their roles, the roles are written for people of color, and they get a lot of submissions from white people for roles for people of color, and it's just like, man, I don't know.
Well, can I?
The
go ahead.
audacity of whiteness.
Or
That's what that is.
the fear of ethnic people from
Right.
submitting. Right? I know you submit to all that, like any ethnicity is
Yeah.
fine, but I didn't. I was like, I know they want a white girl.
No, I
I'm
would.
not gonna
Right.
get it.
I do this. I just
You just submit it anyway?
I'd submit it anyway.
I submit it to just make a point,
Make
or
a
to
point.
make a message. Like they'll see me and they'll go like, "Oh, I really didn't actually mean that. I just didn't
Yeah.
want to sound racist by saying I want to cast a Caucasian only."
Right.
I do
Right.
I'm
feel
gonna be
that
like,
there
you're
are-
gonna look at my headshot.
You're gonna see my face on your monitor.
I do feel that problem does exist, though. There are
Yeah.
like a bunch of Asian or just POC actors who see the all ethnicity and they're like, I'm not going to even try.
Yeah.
And it's because, I mean, just historically, the pattern has been that what they mean is they want somebody Caucasian.
Yeah, but nowadays, like you guys are both submitting actors. Earl, when you
Right.
see that, do you just submit anyway?
I've always submitted anyway.
Okay, because when I was younger, like
Right.
15 years old,
Yeah.
I would see that and I'd say, I've been to those auditions. I'm the only non-white person there, and it's utterly
Right.
humiliating. Like I was so embarrassed that I was so certain that everyone was staring at me like, why is this girl here? Doesn't she know that Nicholas Nickleby is for white people? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like traumatized, and I was like, I'm never
Yeah,
gonna.
man, but- Yeah.
I was like, I'm never gonna audition for a role ever again unless it specifies like it's gonna be for
Nah,
Asian
you
girl.
gotta you gotta be like that blonde girl that applied to her. That's
That's what I mean. Like,
You
how
gotta
come she
think-
gets to do that? When I was in a princess company back in the day, back when Frozen was big,
Right.
my boss was like, yeah, everyone's asking for Anna and Elsa right now. Frozen is hot. And unfortunately, you're my only girl who can't play any of those roles. But she had her white employees playing Jasmine and Mulan.
Well, that's because
So, because what,
in the
Earl?
culture, white is still the norm.
Yeah,
It's
white
viewed
is
as
the
norm.
default.
Yeah.
It's default. You can do whatever you want.
For
you can play
American,
any
yeah.
role, right? And the only reason we are even like creating, like, there's even a conversation happening around that is because people have been like talking about it and bringing it up.
Yeah.
So I think we should never, ever, ever, ever be quiet about anything like this.
So I wanted to like shift gears a little bit, you know, because we just agreed on that the fact that we can't say that our work in diversity is ever done. But I think one huge milestone that we could make to say that diversity has really sunk into the culture is when people of color don't have to feel like, oh my God, they're finally making an Asian American superhero. I can finally audition for something.
Right.
We're not like starving for something that is scarce.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I just want to say, like, I mean, shout out to all the people, whether they're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, you know, a lot of them are the younger generation, you know, like who are coming out to watch Crazy Rich Asian, who came out to watch Black Panther, who came out to watch Miss Marvel, you know, like, and who refuses to, like, allow, like, some other studios or some casting directors, like, internal bigotry and prejudice, like they support the films that actually cast people of color. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of going back because some films are not casted, you know, going back to what we were talking about, like not casting people of color. Like I feel like some of them, the casting directors are gatekeepers in that sense too. They prevent you from, even though they think because they have a say too. They can fight for someone, a person of color, to be casted.
They could.
I mean, it's
They
all
just don't.
systemic, though. You know what I
It is
mean?
very
There's
systemic.
Correct.
starts from the writing, goes to
But
the
the
showroom.
fact that now the people are like choosing the audience member, a lot of like, you know, 40s and younger, I feel like, are choosing not to watch these movies or TV shows.
Oh, like boycotting. Like, don't watch
actually boycotting,
Ghost in
like
the Shell.
yeah, or the
stupid.
Last Airbender.
Stupid movie.
Oh God.
You know, like,
yeah.
and just supporting that, and then when it is time, they show it. They
Yeah,
watch it.
I have to add something very, very important, though. I think that the work of diversity and representation is still not done, even if we just showcase people of color on screen in scripts. Yeah. I mean, the real, like, legwork comes in decolonizing storytelling itself.
That's
we
what I
have
was
to
saying
take
earlier, yeah.
stories from people of color.
Right.
We have to take stories that actually highlight true experiences.
That accurately represent our own, you know, realities.
That is not told from a white lens.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's the white gaze. We need the ethnic gaze, guys.
Before we move
gaze.
on, I do. Rodney, what's up?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask one more question, and then we can kind of move on. But I was actually reading a little bit more of like what your friend had posted and posed as a question. And one of the things he was talking about was actually just like the types of roles too, right?
Yes.
And that not only are these movies happening and these roles are happening, but in those roles, it's actually there's positive portrayals, right? And he's talking about like the power of that. So, for instance, like Black Panther, right? You're now not only just seeing a movie that's predominantly African and African American, but you're seeing them in these roles that are like powerful. Right.
Yeah.
So you see Always Be My Maybe, where they're not stereotypical Asian Americans. They're, you know, a woman entrepreneur.
Their Asianness has nothing to do
They're
with
just
it.
Americans.
Yeah.
They're just
And
people, yeah.
Americans
Right.
who just
So
happen to be
my
Asian.
question to you guys is what do you guys think about that? And is that seems to me is the right direction to go?
Yeah.
And do you guys feel like that's where we should go?
I'll like take the essence of what I think you're saying. I think like we'll have made progress if we can use like Asianness or like being a person of color as a quality that champions like heroism in characters rather than is like a defect or flaw. Right. Or like a
positive
side
traits.
piece. Like them being Asian or them being like a person of color is what, you know, is what makes them a hero or is what makes them like a protagonist in some way.
By virtue of being Asian,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like not directly so, but
we're superior.
yeah.
No, I mean, I think we made progress when we don't even bat an eye to a fictional character becoming Black or Asian. Like James Bond is like the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, if they
Like
cast
James Bond is just a fictional character.
Yeah.
And a British person can be white, black, Asian, Hispanic. And
He just needs to be British.
It's a title. He's the
Yeah.
British. Yeah. Well, what's his name? One of them was Scottish, but
well,
but
Scottish
like,
is still British.
I know. But, oh well, ask him that.
I guess not
Scottish
anymore.
is part of the United Kingdom.
Wallace.
Yeah, if you're
But
part
it's
of the
not-
UK.
But it's not British.
I think the William Wallace
no,
will
Definitely
fight you on
not.
that.
Rolling
Yeah.
in his
But
Yeah.
like I think
British is different. They're a completely different culture than the
but,
Scots.
Yeah. But having like there shouldn't even be a debate like of Idris Elba
becoming
James Bond.
Right.
Or, I don't know if I can't think of an Asian American, British Asian guy, someday it could be him, like it's a title. Same thing.
Henry Golding.
Yeah, same thing. Conan is a fictional. Well, technically, he's really based on a Genghis Khan, but that's a whole different. But Conan is a fictional character. Could just be like some roided out. Oh well, Jason Momoa was Conan, so I guess there's that.
Well, before we move on, I do want to say that just to address the other question the other point in the question is that I do think that media is still a very it's a powerful vehicle
Yes.
for creating culture.
Yes.
Because not only does it create culture, it reflects culture.
Yes.
So it's a double-edged sword, and I mean we could talk about this for a very, very long time.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Just one more.
really quick.
Really
we got to
quick.
move on.
And like going back to the casting directors, they do, like I said, they have an effect. And I just want to shout out to like the Expanse casting directors. Like they went out of their way.
Well, even the
to
writers
cast-
for writing that,
Yeah.
for writing
Diverse?
those characters, yeah.
diverse, but they went out of their way to find the Polynesian space marine.
Right.
I can't remember her name right now, but like
Bobby. Yeah.
Bobby to find that actress. Like she wasn't even an actress. They found her. Like, and I think that's so amazing of the showrunners, the casting directors that they went out of their way, because other production companies will be like, oh, no one applied, or like, oh yeah, we tried, but they never really tried.
Right.
But The Expanse. That's why I was like, if you guys can watch that
Those
show and
mofos.
support that show,
And it's
support
good.
it
I mean,
because
this
they're
is a good
awesome. It's a
show.
great show.
Right.
Yeah.
But the diversity, the writing, and just the casting, they go out of their way to make it happen.
But also tell more stories that are written by people of color.
Yes.
That
Yes.
too.
Put us
Tell
in
more
writing rooms.
stories by mythology that were created by people of color.
Yes. So hire Caitlin Faye to write your next film.
Yeah.
Problem solved. On that note.
And
Okay.
close.
Okay. Just want to say peace out. I mean, peace to chat. What's up, everybody in chat? We have a few few comments in here. Just want to tell you that we are reading this. So I'm trying to comment in text to some of you. So fear not, we are getting to your questions and or comments. So keep them coming. Well, that's all we're going to talk about for today. I mean, we're going to move on. Maybe we'll bring it up again at some other point, and I think we should. Not necessarily a progress report, but varying viewpoints on the subject. And that kind of concludes our main topics for today. We're going to move into some.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're on a roll here.
We are on a
It's not
roll.
even 9 o'clock yet.
What? Get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about some news. Lots of stuff happening in the geek universe. First of all, this is big news to me and for I'm sure a lot of other comic book people. Netflix is adapting Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Walter.
Yes. So Neil Gaiman, or is it Gaiman for sure?
I think it's Gaiman. I said Gaiman, but I think it's Gaiman.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman, who he created Sandman. It was a comic book back in the 80s, right? Or
Yes.
Yeah, and from DC's Vertigo line. So Netflix and Warner Brothers are close to a deal. I don't think they've actually signed it or like it's final. They're still negotiating,
Right.
But it's pretty close to being a sure thing. And it's going to be the most expensive TV series that DC Entertainment has ever done. That's kind of a big deal. And so Alan Heinberg, he wrote Wonder Woman, is going to be the screenwriter, producer, and showrunner for this
Right.
for this series. While Neil Gaiman and David Goyer is going to be the executive producers.
David Goyer.
So
What has David Goyer done?
Oh, everything you
lot.
don't like.
Oh, no! So no.
Yeah, everything that you don't like, he's
So, like,
done.
Never mind.
DC Universe, that's all his. Like he was
Okay,
writer on a
never
lot
mind.
of those projects.
Okay. We shall see.
Oh,
Yeah.
because Vertigo is still a property of DC, right?
Right.
Yes. And I mean, and this comic has had different runs. It was in 1989 to 96 and a little bit in 2009 and 2013 and 15. The character is Morpheus, aka Dream. And every time I look at him, he kind of looks like Neil Gaiman, doesn't he? Like,
Oh my gosh, yeah, the hair.
yeah.
Well, that's him sitting with his sister, Death.
Yeah. And I mean, but the characters which is the one on our left or TV's right, whatever, is the Dream Morpheus. And in the story, he was imprisoned like by a cultist in like 1906, and he got released in 1980. The 1980s. So I'm guessing the whole show is gonna be like a 1980s style. Which is gonna be cool if they go with that route, unless they go with modern day.
So, like, the most interesting thing I found about Sandman is that the font and the format changes with whatever perspective that the characters are taking, right? So, like, if it's in Delirium, things are wishy-washy, kind of colorful and whatever. And then Death is like this snarky, really smart kind of character. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually toy with that medium when they tell the story.
Different
Like,
camera perspective.
different camera perspectives,
Color. Yeah.
styles of filmmaking.
What's really amazing though is that during the research too, like there's been several people that's been trying to get this in production, like in the pipeline. Like I think I saw that Roger Avery, HBO, Warner Brothers, like years ago have tried to do it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt has tried to do this with New Line Cinema, but it just kind of fizzled out.
I mean, there's that happens a lot with, I think, like really big properties, really big IPs. There's just so much writing on it. And a lot of times, they don't want to take unless it's like one of those properties that they're just creating the medium just to keep the rights, like a lot of the Fantastic Four stuff. They don't want their first impressions are everything, right?
Yes.
So they want to create something good.
I mean, I could see this like just visually, it's gonna be expensive and difficult.
Right. It will be.
Netflix, you said?
Netflix is shooting it with Warner Brothers. Yeah.
But yeah, it could be cool. I'm waiting. I'm hoping it turns out well. It's such a big milestone in comics that I hope they do it well.
You guys should audition.
Right. If we're talking about it's like Watchmen, Sandman,
Stylistically,
right? The Crow, all that stuff. But moving into video games, they also announced that there is going to be a Final Fantasy. Jesus Christ.
Cripes.
I know, Cripes. Shock you. I curse like a comic book character. So they have just announced Final Fantasy live action TV series is in production, or they're going to start producing this. And interesting thing is it's going to be in the world of Final Fantasy 14, which is the MMO, the second and the latest MMORPG in the Final Fantasy world. So I don't know. I actually don't have any experience with the Final Fantasy MMOs, so I don't know too much about it. I'm assuming it's going to take all the familiar and recognizable elements from the Final Fantasy series and just put it in a different world.
But you said it's based off of the last one, right? 14?
14. And it's the most recent MMO. There's been Final Fantasy 15, which is more of the traditional single player experience. But I mean, if you look at all the Final Fantasy games, despite the fact that they all take place in a different place with a different story, different cast of characters, they all have similar elements. The same kind of allies are there, the same kind of
spiky-haired protagonists.
And it was always some kind of coming of age story. Yeah. And there's always chocobos and materia and limit breaks, in-game games like Blitzball in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. You know what I kind of missed though? I mean, I didn't get to play 14 just because I've told myself but are there any strong female characters?
It's all guys, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like a 5 huge dudes. Guy cast. And usually, I mean, every Final Fantasy has a good mix of female and male heroes, So the fact that this one is getting made is making me going oh. Where?
On the
Final Fantasy 14.
On the left? Yeah, I'm sure there is one, but you know.
I honestly, I don't know what the lore is of the Final Fantasy 14 world, so I know Final Fantasy 15. It is like boys club, but I don't know. I'm gonna watch it just because. I mean, I even watched Final Fantasy Spirits Within back in the day, and that
Oh
had
my
nothing to do. Remember
god,
that?
with Aki.
Anything Final Fantasy, I watched.
I saw that in theaters.
Dream within.
The ending was sad.
Oh yeah, it was totally sad. But yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Matrix 4.
Question
What is
mark?
it?
Did you just like point your middle finger up?
No, I'm pointing next finger.
Like 4?
Matrix 4.
Doesn't want
What-
that.
you know what's going on with it? Jen?
Yeah, so the Independent came out with this article that said that there is, hypothetically speaking, some talk going on between Warner Brothers and the Wachowskis, and that this new Matrix film might be coming out. It's going to go into production as early as 2020. Apparently, it's going to be written by Zach Penn, who wrote The Incredible Hulk. Right. And
Which one?
I think this is the one that has Ed Norton in it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That one's good.
And so the
You
Wachowskis
didn't like the Ang Lee one? I'm just kidding.
So the Wachowskis are on board for this. I don't know how I feel about their more recent work, Jupiter Ascending.
Oh no, I heard it sucked.
Yeah.
Like it was not feminist at all.
Yeah. I mean, I really loved Cloud Atlas. So it remains to be seen. They remain like one of my favorite filmmakers still of all time because of their sheer ambition, you know? So
Right.
I hope that they're doing this justice. I don't know.
Series they did on Netflix also.
Sense8? Yeah.
Oh
that
god.
did really well.
Oh, there's
Okay.
I
then.
could not get into Sense8. I
The
second
tried.
season was bad?
I-
the second
really?
season
Oh.
was the third season, like
I heard.
Oh,
Well, so
no.
you like the Matrix trilogy then?
Well, this is personal for you, Jen, right? Because your first geek crush was Neo.
Was Neo, yeah.
Is what's his name? Is
Keanu.
Keanu gonna be in
Keanu
this?
Reeves.
No, Keanu is not.
What?
He's-
oh, I don't know.
So the article frames it very vaguely, but it says Michael B. Jordan will be replacing Keanu Reeves. So
Killmonger?
it's not.
It's gonna be a new Neo.
I don't know.
A
If
Neo.
that's the thing.
Neo.
I don't think it's going to specify whether or not Michael B. Jordan is playing Neo because we already know Keanu Reeves to be Neo. So I think they're going to
Ooh,
you know.
what if it's Morpheus, but he's younger? Michael B.
That could
Jordan
be
is a young
Oh.
Morpheus.
See,
Oh, like a prequel?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
I mean,
Yes.
well, here's the thing. Like, you know, when we get that speech from the architect, he says that Neo has gone through several iterations.
Yeah.
We just assumed they were all Neo.
They get because they get erased, they succeed, he destroys it, and then they rebuild it again. So it's just a cycle. The whole
Right.
thing's a
He doesn't have
facade.
to be all Neo. You know, they could be different
Gosh.
versions of the one.
I started rewatching the first Matrix movie with my boy the other day.
With your boy?
With my boy.
With your boy?
Your boy?
With my boy.
Like,
The
is that
other
like a
day.
metal thing that floats in the ocean?
Boy,
buoy?
your boy?
It sounded like you're saying with your buoy. I was like, with
Oh,
your
God,
buoy.
let's not dwell on
Is that your
this.
toy?
But
We're gonna lose viewers now because you said that.
oh no, you guys are terrible, and I hate you all. But anyway, so we started watching this the other day, and you know what? It still holds up, even with like the '90s flip phones and the giant brick things.
Who gives a shit?
Flip
That's
phones are
great.
coming
They're
back.
back.
You know, like
This phone that snaps out. That's
it's just so
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Lighter.
Yeah, dude.
The thing is, the original Matrix played with the form of visual storytelling in a way that we hadn't really seen before.
360-degree fucking camera spin.
You
right?
know,
Yeah.
and there were also like, you know, the way the agents moved or the way that things were cut or the way that they didn't
time.
assume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
They didn't assume that the audience members were stupid. They laid down very heavy shit for you to discuss and digest, but they did it in such an interesting way. Like the beginning half of The Matrix actually feels kind of like a noir,
Yes.
you know?
It's been said that The Matrix is the most philosophical movie of all time. I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly goes into
Right.
the whole
It's one
life
of the
is a
most
simulation.
Basic, yeah, one of the most basic like philosophical 101.
quandaries. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a
Descartes.
lot of I mean, I think that's kind of just a general. I don't want to say trope, but it's a theme in like science fiction, right?
Yeah. But
Like,
not
exploring
nearly
that.
as cool looking or handsome.
Well, I mean, isn't it why we have a whole population of people or who believes that this whole everything is a simulation?
Simulation.
I will say the world is a simulation, but that's for a different night.
Speaking of simulations,
Houston, okay.
you remember the holodecks in Star Trek? Man, those were like my favorite episodes. The Sherlock one, Computer Arch. I bring it up because like we're gonna talk about Picard next.
Okay.
What a
the
segue.
new Picard series, right? So Michael Chabon has been announced as the showrunner for the series, which
Chabon.
Is it
Is this-
Chabon?
I'm pretty sure it's Chabon.
All right.
Chabon.
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 Let's like
Chabon.
if anybody in the chat knows
Chabon.
for show, let us know.
It's Mikhail Chabon.
Michael
Right?
Chabon.
Yeah.
Chabon.
We're sorry. We're so
know.
sorry,
We're
Mr. Chabot.
so fucked up.
I mean, UCI alumni. What up, Zat Zat? So I don't know. That makes me excited. Not the Zat Zat part, but the Michael Chabon part.
So who is he and what is he
So
doing?
Michael
he's-
Chabon.
He's an author that has Pulitzer Prize winning, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And he wrote The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. And I'm currently reading one of his books, The Gentleman of the Road, which is kind of like a historical fiction. It's pretty good so far. It's a fast read. It's just I use it as my subway book, so I don't read all of it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. We still don't kind of know what the actual series is going to be about. I mean, from the trailers, the teasers, it looks like it's going to be about his time after Starfleet, like growing in his vineyard and stuff. And I'm willing to watch that, even if it is like, bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Salud.
Sorry, guys.
Even if it is like just Picard retelling all the stories that happened to him during like TNG, while he's drinking wine, his own,
In his
foot
vineyard.
mashed wine in his vineyard.
Oh,
God.
gross.
Mashed by the feet of virgins.
No, it's gonna be mashed by the Klingon employees.
Right.
Yum.
And there has been some inclusive casting on this too, so I'm
Such as? Well, it's Star
I forgot the
Trek,
name.
right?
Right,
So-
I know, right, exactly. They're
would
kind of
expect.
historically,
Yes.
very much on the forefront of
Progressive.
that. Yeah. Lieutenant Uhura. So, jumping into another star-based franchise, Star Wars Celebration.
Star what?
Star Wars Celebration.
Gotcha.
Slightly better transition there.
More stars.
More
Better
stars,
segue.
more stars.
Less wars.
Riz Ahmed, who played Bodhi Rook from Rogue One, was held and stopped by Homeland Security on his way to Star Wars Celebration. Yeah. Walter?
Yes. So yeah, like Earl said, this guy Riz Ahmed, he's you know him from the night of Star Wars, but sadly he was stopped, and he recently just explained this. He kind of was quiet about it. He didn't really tell anyone why he couldn't make this last April's Star Wars Celebration, where he was supposed to interact with fans, sign their
Star what?
Star Wars,
You
their Star Wars
guys.
Celebration.
The Star
Where he
is
was-
or Star was?
Star was?
Where he was supposed to sign and meet with fans because he has a pretty good following.
Sure,
You know, because I mean, Rogue One was an awesome film, and so he was quiet about it. But then recently, he was at a CAA Amplify event, and he started talking about why he didn't make that event
Right.
and how he was traumatized by it because he said he got stopped by Homeland Security from boarding a plane, and it was not the first time that's ever happened to him. And he wrote an essay how he was interrogated. I can't remember if it was for this event, but or another past ones too.
Right.
But where he's been interrogated, he says he's been physically assaulted by airport security.
Oh God!
And when he's gotten in another time, he got pulled aside, and like he was there with other guys whose last name just happens to be Ahmed also,
Right.
Oh God!
and he got interrogated there, and so yeah, and he just recently started talking about it and being more, I guess, be more candid about this.
These random searches, these random stops are not random at all.
Oh no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's sadly, I mean, we'll say that there are like TSA and Homeland Security guys. A lot of them are doing their job and they're good at it. But there's a few bad apples, like and there's like I remember reading an article where one guy got arrested because he was singling out, and it was a male, and he was singling out men with the help of another screener, which was a female, so that he could they would give false alarms,
Right.
and so he can search them.
Wait, what?
He would create false alarms with the aid of a
His partner
secondary
would create false
TSA
alarms,
agent-
and then
agent, yeah.
he would have to, so they can then make up a story and like search them.
Oh wow,
Right.
That's
Yeah, I don't know, man.
fucked up, man.
A few bad apples screw things up for everybody. I mean, and like it makes it hard to trust the system in general.
Yeah,
So-
it rots
I
the whole
mean,
batch.
I'll go as far as to say the system is corrupt and the
Oh, it
few bad
absolutely
apples
is.
don't fall far from the tree.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, there are reasons why this is happening. And it goes back to a lot of things that I don't need to unpack right now, but you know, America has a lot to work on.
Yeah.
Can you
I think
unpack
you can answer.
quickly?
You can unpack that whole social
Yeah.
economic.
I mean,
thing.
it goes back to American Islamophobia. Let's say
I was
that.
just thinking
absolutely.
that.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
That's
And,
what the
like,
root of this is, right?
That is the root of this, you know, and it's unfortunate that like so many, you know, Americans of Middle Eastern roots have to face this kind of discrimination now.
Worse, I think, than even post 9/11.
Yeah.
Right? It's only gotten worse since the mass shootings and all that.
Which
yeah.
for, like,
well, I
for
mean, yeah.
no good reason really either.
Yeah.
I mean, although if you take that to be fair, if once it's mass shooting, then they should pull aside
aside
certain group
white
also
Right.
men.
and search them. Or,
Right. I know. If
Seriously.
we're going by the numbers,
Yeah. Oh,
if we're going
fuck, I
by
didn't
the
think about
numbers.
it like that.
You know, it's
Yo.
not even about the numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
well,
absolutely
I mean,
not.
to
But,
be
like,
fair, it's just the American public's wish to feel safe or what. I mean, let's be honest, and I think it's people have talked about it, so it's not like anything surprising. Like that, you know how they only make you carry a 3-ounce bottle, whatever, blah,
right.
blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
2 ounces.
let's
Really.
let's just say there's materials out there that where 3 ounces can do enough damage or whatever. It
Right.
is.
Like, what does that really do?
Like all it is just, but for most people,
It's
they,
a PR move.
in their mind is like the average American, they're like, oh, I feel sort of safe because there's something
Right.
happening or being
They're
done.
doing something.
False security,
Right.
and like it's preying on people's like lack of being informed.
We're
really what it
actually
is.
giving up our liberties for this false sense of security. You know, and if anything, like if you were actually carrying a water bomb, like, and they all throw it in the same trash can, like I think a comedian like made this joke before of like,
Right.
you're gonna throw all the potential bombs
in the
same
same fucking trash can
next to the people with all the other potential bombs. Like that's smart.
sound to me.
Right.
Sounds great. Anyway,
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
it's-
But yeah, it's sad, and I
thing.
mean, you know, hopefully hopefully this that happens less to him, and you know,
Right.
the world becomes a better place. But
and world
World
peace.
peace.
End.
I know.
And on that
And
note,
representative filmmaking and oh, okay. Oh man.
he just needs to get more famous,
just-
where they stop harassing him.
Anyway, yeah. Okay.
Jesus.
So we read a few weeks ago that John Cho is being looked at, or like he has been cast as role of Spike in Cowboy Bebop. But recently, what has happened, Caitlin?
Well, on Father's Day, John Cho the Great was
John
seen
Cho the
posting a
Great.
selfie of him and his father sporting what appears to be a Spike Spiegel-esque mop of hair, though it's not nearly
Spike
as
Spiegel.
evolved as it needs to
Right.
eventually become. You can tell viewers on YouTube by this and Twitch by this picture that he's ambling a little more towards that Jufro, because Spiegel is Jewish, right? So
Is
Oh,
it?
yeah, if anything, yeah, Spike Spiegel is Jewish, yeah.
right.
So
Or could
sorry,
it be half?
And Faye Valentine is Singaporean.
Faye Valentine, because we were saying earlier that the actress they chose for Faye is Mexican American, but Faye is supposed to be Singaporean. But who cares? I ain't complaining. Whatever logic is consistent with what I want, I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's basically it. John Cho looking like a snack next to his dad,
Right.
sporting Spike Spiegel-esque hair because I can't remember. I think it's Netflix, actually. They're picking up a 10-episode first season for
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop, which, if those of you don't know, was like a very big anime in the late 90s.
Best theme song of all time.
My question for you guys, though, and it'll be real quick, and I because I gotta ask this, your opinion, because I've seen this on the chats about this casting,
Right.
not about his race, but more of his age.
Oh, because
Spike is supposed to be 27.
Right.
Yes.
But
My age.
everybody on that show acts a lot older
They're
than
27.
like in any anime, you know.
Yeah.
The 14-year-old acts like they're 30.
Right.
Faye's supposed to be 24, but she's like easily 40, you know, in her habits.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll play devil's advocate, and I'm a fan. I love John Cho.
yeah.
Now the question is like, is he? And it could be whatever the storyline might be different. It could be like Cowboy Bebop in the future, and then they'll have cut to younger. I don't know. Who knows? But you think other Asian American like younger actors could have been casted or should have been considered.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
I
yeah.
could see that, because I think we've talked about this before. You like relatively
Unknown
actors,
actors, right?
Casting big IPs. I'm the same way. Like that's what Marvel has always done. And I don't know. I don't think. Do you think John Cho is a household name? Maybe after Star Trek.
I think people
House-
recognize his face.
Right.
No, I know.
I think he's big enough.
He's
I
big
know
enough.
non-Asian people who are like,
know?
"Who's John Cho?"
Right.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I have to
that's
explain who John
true.
Cho is. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's quite there yet.
Right.
Yeah, but he's recognizable enough, I would say.
So I think for like
Yeah.
a wider, I guess, American audience's
They
sake,
had to go
we
with this.
still have to,
yeah.
But yeah, and then, I mean, just I guess it depends on how they write it and like the time period. But if we're going with the peak of Cowboy Bebop's character, Spiegel's, it's in his prime, like mid 30s or early 30s or
Right.
late 20s, early 30s, kind of that window.
I think knowing John Cho's like vibe, his energy, and his acting style, I think he'll do a
He's
good
on
job.
I think he
point.
Like,
plays
he's on
younger
point.
for.
Yeah, but he's also got the right energy for it.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
not complaining.
Does he? It's been a while. Forgive me. Like it's gunplay, and he does martial arts too, right?
Yeah, he does Jeet Kune Do. Oh,
Yeah.
not
Does he
Jeet Kune Do.
Jeet Kune Do?
He does judo. Oh, what's the one with water? The one that's like water?
Tai Chi?
No. It's Jeet Kune Do. Yeah, he does Jeet Kune Do.
Flow like
yeah.
water.
Like
Flow like
water,
water.
my friend.
He's a Jeet Kune Do guy.
He
I
does
wonder if he
Jeet Kune
trains out here.
Do because he likes Bruce Lee.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
I mean, me personally, like, I guess I would have considered as much, like I said, as much as I love John Cho, I would have considered, what's his name, the guy from Glee,
Harry Shum?
Harry Shum.
Harry Shum Jr.
Really?
He's not a martial artist.
He's a dancer though.
He's a dancer. But have you
Dancers-
seen that?
Does John Cho fight?
Sorry, that was
That was, a
that was
dancer.
pretty
I think
emphatic.
I think dancers do even like can translate martial arts better than like
I don't know.
a
That's-
or they could always get a stunt guy. So
right,
whatever.
right. That's a conversation to have later.
That's
I
a
think.
yeah. When Cowboy Bebop comes out.
Right. But what they let's go on to our next story. So there was this huge hoopla about like the wig and the beardlessness a few months ago, and I'm talking about The Witcher.
I was like, what?
So Jen,
Yeah, so now in addition to the wig and the beardlessness, there is now a missing sword. Geralt is supposed to have two
Wait.
swords.
I've been
silver-
reading though.
Silver for, monsters, steel for humans.
I've been reading though that this is going to be based on the book and not the game.
Yeah.
Ooh, eat your words, Jen.
No.
Eat your words.
The games are based on the book. So unless this is a prequel saying how he became a Witcher, it
yeah.
would not make sense.
Oh, eat your words.
Maybe it's before he
Caitlin.
got the what was the one for the monsters?
Silver.
Silver.
Maybe
Oh,
it's
yeah,
before
maybe
he
he'll
got
pick
the
it up
silver
later.
sword.
No, yeah. Like that's what I'm saying is that this will only make sense if it is a prequel because if we need to see him
Right.
become
Well,
the
is that
Witcher.
the outfit in the game?
No, I mean like things are going to be different from the game. I think they're trying to do their own thing. There were other images released of like Yennefer and Triss.
Right.
I like his jacket.
They all look different.
I like
there's
her
Yennefer.
jacket.
It's very
Whoa, she's a
Khaleesi.
hottie. Who's she?
I have no idea. She
actress.
looks like Natalie Emanuel a little bit.
Oh my god, she's so pretty.
Natalie
But yeah, Yennefer in the original is Geralt's soulmate.
Pretty.
Yeah, and then there's Triss Marigold. Yennefer is a sorceress, so is Triss. But anyway, yeah. So, oh, that's Ciri actually.
That's
Yeah,
Siri?
Yeah, that's Ciri.
Whoa, this looks like a screenshot from Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean,
Like she could be an elf.
It's just the
Arwen.
hood.
it's based on actual Polish
Like Eowyn or
mythology.
something. Yeah.
Right.
It's based on actual Polish mythology. You know, like all of the monsters in the Witcher universe are based on Slavic folklore, like the Leshen, which is this huge moose-like creature that like stalks the forest and like terrorizes humans. You know, and a Witcher by trade is somebody who hunts monsters for a living. So
She's
we'll
kind
see.
of got a Rebecca De Mornay thing going on.
Who's that?
80s
Yeah.
80s actress.
Oh,
All you
When I
old
was
people
alive.
are like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
that
Hand
could
the
have been
rocks
you,
and cradle.
Jen.
Come on.
A lot of dudes had a crush on her.
Wait, where's she
know,
from?
Hand the rocks and cradle is like kind of her breakout thing.
You just
right?
have to, just IMDb
Yeah.
her later.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think the wig looks better than it did in the initial teaser.
It does
Yeah,
look better.
I think so.
It does look better.
He's-
We were just teasing the teaser.
But I
I
have
mean,
some
that doesn't
faith in
even
this.
look like Henry Cavill in the.
That's not Henry Cavill.
No, not that. Jeez. No, he's such a
Rebecca.
method actor that is Henry Cavill.
He changed his facial
They're pointing to
structure.
the picture of Siri right now.
I'm pointing to a picture of Siri.
But yeah, I think it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to see what else they're going to release before the actual release. And I should play Witcher before that happens.
Oh my God, you
Or
haven't
listen
played
to the
Witcher?
soundtrack.
No, I haven't. I have
Oh
not
my
played
God, you
Witcher.
have to. And the soundtrack is amazing.
Steam sale. It is Steam sale.
That's right. Just start with the third one. I mean, just catch up.
The screw it. It's,
Yeah.
it's like skip Mass Effect 1.
No,
No, it's multi-plat.
Multi-platform.
Yeah, multi-platform.
Yeah.
So it's on Steam. So without further ado, we have come to the part of the show where we play a game.
What?
We play a game.
That'll have been a game.
So this time around, I'm going with some trivia.
Yay!
Some trivia. And
Try not to look at the answers.
Yeah.
right. I'll do this.
You can come here. I don't know.
And we are going to we're going to buzz in like we did before. Where you just say your name, and I'll pick who gets the answer. These questions are all having to do with Asian representation in media, like historically, and a little bit of Toy Story stuff. So, are y'all ready for
Yes.
PanGeekery trivia?
Wait, I wasn't here when you guys last played this. You just say your name, and that's like the equivalent of raising your hand?
Yes, just say
Okay.
your name.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Okay.
Whoever I hear first.
Jen, I'm practicing.
That's not fair. Jen has one syllable. I'm
It's whoever's
Kate.
like the first.
just say
Yeah.
going to say Kate.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
So, ready.
Walt.
Question number 1. Name 2 of the actors that play the 4 daughters in Joy Luck Club.
Jen.
Jen.
Damn.
Ming-Na Wen.
You said the actors or the characters?
Actors. Bonus points, I guess, if you can name all the characters.
I know it. No. I know this. Oh my God, I see her face
I could do 3.
in
I can do 3 also.
5 seconds.
Rosalind Chow. I have to name 3?
No, you got them already. So yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Ming-Na Wen, Tamlin Tamita, Rosalind
Tamlin
Chow,
Tamita. That was the face in
and
my head.
Lauren Tom.
Oh, okay.
So that is Jen's. 1 point to Jen. Question number 2. This 2002 feature film was Justin Lin's breakout directorial debut.
Kate.
Jen.
Better Luck Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Jen is like running it right now.
Oh my God, Caitlin is
I said
so
Kate at the
defeated.
same time.
Did you?
She just said her
I-
name louder.
Well, let's get to judges. Like if there's something close, y'all let me know. I did hear that Jen first, but moving forward, y'all let me know. It's like the corner judges in martial arts tournaments. So in John Cho's breakout role in American Pie, what is the phrase his character yells that became part of the American vernacular?
Walt.
Walter,
Stifler's mom?
what is the phrase he yells?
MILF.
Yes, MILF.
What?
MILF.
I've never watched this movie, so I don't know.
And which stands for?
Mom, I'd like to
Forgo.
fornicate.
Yes, Mom, I'd like to fornicate.
Forget.
Okay, this is another kind of hard one.
I'd like to forget.
I know.
Yeah.
Mom, I'd like to fuck.
Yeah.
In the 90s, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live-action film franchise, Ernie Reyes Jr. has a unique opportunity to work on the first 2 films, different roles in each of the films. What were the 2 roles?
Walt.
Yes,
Either Michelangelo or Raphael.
specifically.
The turtle. What are you talking about specific?
What? Which turtle?
Michelangelo or Raphael.
Wrong.
Damn it.
Anybody else?
I don't know. I've never seen
Walt.
Yes. No, he can't say so. Okay. I know. It's just me. So the answer is in the first Ninja Turtles, he plays he's Donnie's stuntman, and then in the second one, he actually plays Kino, the pizza guy.
Oh my god.
Kino.
I knew that, but I thought you were saying. I totally misunderstood your question.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. I thought he had other opportunities to play Yeah.
Yeah, if you get it wrong, you should be zero.
Okay.
So
You're still
so
at
far,
zero anyways.
You should be negative.
Gen 2, Walter 1, and then Caitlin Goose Egg.
1.
Okay. So next question. Question number 5. This 1994 TV series is widely recognized as Margaret Cho's breakout project.
Jen,
Yes.
All American Girl.
Correct.
Damn it.
All American Girl.
Yeah.
It's Korean.
Yeah, you are.
Ron's racist.
Cho,
Okay.
okay? Margaret Cho.
So we're going to move a little bit into Toy Story. Question number 6. Name all. Let me see 3. Name 3 of the original main toy characters that were introduced in Toy Story 1.
Walter.
Kate.
Woody,
Woody.
Buzz Lightyear,
Buzz Lightyear.
and Mr. Potato Head.
Nice. All right. So those 3, Caitlin and Kate. Okay. Question number 7.
Jen gave that.
Of the Toy Story movies, which Toy Story movie was almost lost when a staff member that ran the command and cleared the file system?
Walter.
Yes.
The second one.
The second one. You are correct.
I didn't know about
that's
this.
crazy.
That's so sad.
So the story is they almost lost all of Toy Story 2, or a good chunk of it.
Wait, how?
Because one of the, I guess somebody was doing backups or was working on it, accidentally ran the command on the mainframe that basically formatted the hard drive.
How did they get it back?
God.
They got it back because one of the assistant technical directors, Galen Sussman, had been homesick working on it, and she
so
had
she had
a
a
backup.
copy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Thank
Can
God
you
she got
imagine?
sick.
Right.
No.
So
They did in
Oh
the
my
90s.
god.
So
That
Walter,
guy was fired.
Irresponsible. God.
Jen 3, Walter 2, Caitlin 1. Okay. Question number 8. This 2006 documentary by Jeff Adachi covers the portrayal of Asian men on the silver screen, from Sesshu Hayakawa to Kal Penn and John Cho.
Oh, I know this. I just.
Can we guess?
You can
How
guess.
many words are the title?
Do that.
Give me the initials of the item.
The first word
I
is.
know
Give
this.
me the answer
5 seconds.
slowly.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Oh my gosh, I know this.
1.
What is it?
The documentary is called The Slanted Screen.
Damn it.
The slanted.
See, I
didn't
knew
watch
that more
this.
than- more
That's
than
not a
one
Toy
word.
Story question.
I'm sorry,
Sure,
we're moving
Walter.
back and we
I'm
moved a
sure.
little
How many
back
questions
into-
are there?
There is 1 question left.
No. Can we make it a
one
bonus? Like this is worth 3
She
points.
just really wants to win.
I never win these games. It's worth 3 points, okay? Okay.
Even if it was worth 3
I'd
points.
have 4 and I'd win.
Right.
Okay. I'm glad we agree.
This is all she
Can't
really
be
cares
that.
about.
I never win.
This is kind of a deep cut, but this was Buzz Lightyear's original name during the production of Toy Story 1.
Can we guess?
You can absolutely guess. There's no penalty
Kate.
for guessing. Yes.
Captain Lightning Day.
Walter.
Jen.
That was very entertaining, but no. Walter.
Space Ranger.
No.
Jen.
Yes.
Something to do with Armstrong.
No. Okay. The answer is Lunar Larry.
Ew!
Lunar
That's gross.
Larry.
Can you? Sounds like a porn star
It does.
name.
Leisure Suit Larry. Yeah. I mean, y'all old people know what's up with
Can
that.
you create like 5 more questions right now?
Right now?
So I can win. Come on.
I think our time is
I want to win.
So Caitlin did lose. The official
least you got
last
on the board.
standings.
I know.
Jen wins with 3. Yeah. Walter.
Glorious. Glorious.
Walter has 2. And Caitlin has 1.
Golf clap. Golf clap.
So, yeah, that brings. Let's have more. I'll write more questions next time, so everybody has a little more of a chance to win.
When you say everyone, you mean Caitlin.
Yes.
We,
Wait.
because I said my name at the same time as Jen. If you had given me that one, we'd all be at 2. But now you didn't listen to me.
What? Maybe
We would have all been at 2.
When
Listen, I said at the exact same time as her.
In the
Just
replay.
saying. Just
Right.
saying.
We'll take a look at it and see what the replay says.
Why does it matter so much?
because I want to win. Yeah. No, we're all equal.
She gets so happy when you just tell her you win.
Well, that's it for our show tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please follow, like, subscribe us on YouTube and Twitch. Our handle on all three, or on everything basically, is at PanGeekery. Come see us again next Tuesday, 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/PanGeekery. We are going to be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. Which we're all going to check out this week. And
Yeah.
Are we, Earl? Are we all going to check it out this week?
Yeah, Fringe is over, so I'm going to actually go watch it. Actually, no, I have a show on
You
Sunday.
have a show still. You got extended. What are you talking about?
I'll watch it. What else are we talking about next week? There's one more thing I come for. Stranger Things.
Oh,
Season 3.
yeah. This
Yeah.
4th of July.
4th of July. It's coming out 4th of July. So we're going to watch the first 3 episodes, and we're going to report on what we felt about that. So come back next week. Thank you to our location sponsors, PWC, Filipino Worker Center. Thank you to Hi-Fi Kitchen for the food. That's hi-fi-kitchen.com. And see y'all next week. Thank you, crew.
Bye.
Thank you, cast.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, y'all badass.
job.
Thank you.
Badass. PanGeekery Podcast, covering all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. Visit us online at www.pangeekery.com.